Good afternoon and welcome to Mason Speaks. My name's Mason and today I'm with the High Hopes Dog Rescue. Guys, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Now, just to do a little introduction, we've got Tara. She's wearing the pink jumper there, the pink lights in the background, and we've got Sam as well, the one who's cuddling with the dogs at the moment. So guys, first of all, we'll just get straight into it. You've got a dog rescue, haven't you? So, where's it based? Where are you based about?
We won't know which one to speak first.
Oh, well, either of you.
So I'm in Worcester and Sam's in Kidderminster, and we are a foster-based rescue. So we're kind of all over the UK, really, but predominantly around Kidderminster and Worcester areas.
Okay, so that's where you're based, but obviously you reach out as far and wide as you can. From what I know, is that right?
Yeah, we've rehomed up to Dunoon and all the way down to Kent, so all over really.
Oh wow!
Actually,
So
we've rehomed to the Isle of Man, was it? The Isle of Wight.
The Isle of Wight and up to just past Inverness as well, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, so really quite a fast spread, and that's and obviously helps with being able to, if you can get the dogs that far, it helps to be able to rehome them. Obviously, if you've got more people to choose from or more people to get to, it definitely helps with being able to get these dogs to their forever homes, as they're often called, aren't they?
Definitely, yeah.
So just to sort of start off, get the conversation flowing. I know that Sam, you sort of. Because obviously you run it together, but Sam, you sort of started it off initially, didn't you?
I did. I went to Romania in 2018 with another rescue. I don't know if I can say their name or not, but I went with them just to see what it was all about, what dogs experience over there. And then when I came back, I decided I needed to do something to help.
Okay,
And so I started it.
Was there something? Sorry, was there something specific that you'd saw over there that made you want to?
It was the public shelter that changed everything. It's just an awful place to go. Dogs in there, they don't even get fed. They're just fighting, killing each other. They've got nothing to eat. And they're only in there for about 2 weeks and then they get killed. And I couldn't just sit back and not do anything.
Oh right, okay. So it is a fairly horrific sort of environment over there in their shelters. Yeah. Obviously, you said 2 weeks. Is that if they don't find a home within 2 weeks there?
Yeah, they don't sort of find homes over there. They have to get taken out by a rescue, and I think 3% of dogs get claimed by their owner. It might even be less than that. But there's no life for a dog in Romania.
So effectively, if a dog gets picked up and taken to one of these shelters, the chances are it's probably not going to have much of a quality of life, and the quality of life it does have probably won't last much more than 2 weeks then.
No, not at all.
Well, I think we can all agree that's a pretty horrendous thought to even think about, and obviously without it being publicly known that that's what's happening, you know, how will it change? And that's what you guys are trying to do with your rescue. Obviously, you've got a large following, which you won't mind me saying, on the internet, predominantly Facebook.
Yeah.
You got a marvelous following on there, so that must really help with sort of spreading the message and spreading the awareness that you're getting these dogs and giving them a new lease of life, if you like. You're giving them a chance to be a dog again.
Yeah, definitely. It's lovely to see them grow and enjoy life.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously over there, when you went to Romania, as you said, you saw some pretty awful things, and obviously people don't realise that dogs are they're not just a pet, are they? They are much more than that. They've got their own feelings, their own emotions. Obviously, perhaps not to the extent that you know humans have, but they know when something's not right. And the dogs in the kennels over there, they know that something's not right, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They've all got their own little personalities. These two.
Yeah, we can see that. We can see those two. They look pretty chilled at the moment. I'm sure they're not always like that, but at the minute they look pretty relaxed. in terms of you guys and your sort of mission, what's the end goal? If you could say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to do it for, and we finished when this happens, what is it?
There's no end. There will be no end. It will just keep going. I think, there's things that we would like to achieve, definitely, and that we're aiming for, but it's not going to be something that once we've reached that, we won't just stop. It will just carry on. I'll let Sam tell you about the what we'd really like to achieve.
We'd really like our own place, our own premises, where people can come in and get to know us and volunteer, particularly people with things like depression, because I think dogs can really help. And that's sort of, I had a goal which was a year after we started, but now we're 2.5 years in, and we've rescued and rehomed lots of dogs, and we've been so busy doing that we haven't moved on to finding a premises or reaching charity status, although it is next on our list. It's just we've been so busy rehoming dogs that it's been on the back burner for a while.
Yeah, I mean, so I suppose that idea of there's whether you're trying to help the dogs sort of directly or whether you're trying to improve the rescue's ability to do that, obviously both equally important. And at the moment, you've just been focusing mainly on helping the dogs directly, getting them homes, getting them out of this place that they're in from Romania, and you rescue from a couple of other countries as well. Is it Portugal as well, or?
Yeah,
Is that
Portugal,
right? Yeah. So
and Bosnia actually as well.
Okay, so Portugal, Bosnia, and Romania, the main places you get them from, and obviously trying to rehome them now at the moment is the main focus. Although ideally you'd like to be able to get this premises. And I mean, what you said about people with depression, I think that's really prominent now of all times, because obviously with the COVID pandemic, everyone's sort of becoming more aware that it's harder to speak to people, and it's really important that you do, and that you reach out to people that you might not have spoke to for a while, because that mental health is really important. It's
Definitely.
and with the pandemic, it's for a lot of people, I think they found it harder to motivate themselves and to be happy. And I think the idea that the dogs can be there as help for that, and I can tell you from my own sort of testament, if you like, it does work. I went through a stage when I was a bit younger, and we got a dog, and honestly, it was one of the things that helped the most. It really did. We've still got the dog now, and that the idea of having a companion that doesn't judge you, doesn't it's unconditional love that the dog has for you and that you have for the dog, and that really can help anyone who's suffering with any sort of mental health
I think
condition.
it's just somebody being there, and you don't have to speak. They're just there. I think that helps massively.
That tactileness when you're feeling very low, to be able to stroke a dog is just something out of this world. If you've never experienced it, which some people haven't, some people are scared of dogs, are nervous, have never had that chance to have a dog, but being able to go somewhere where somebody who is struggling with themselves, they can go and stroke a dog, or they can see a dog that's not very confident and they can go and sit and help to encourage, give the dog confidence. That's amazing for somebody who doesn't suffer with any form of depression or mental health. So somebody that does suffer with it will gain even more from it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sam, do you have anything to add about that, or?
No, I'm only that, from my own experience as well. I mean, this particular dog here, my absolute soulmate, and he's helped me through so much. He's 6 now, and he was my 3rd foster dog. And he's just helped me personally through a lot of stuff. And I think he's my driving force to be able to help more people, more dogs.
And what it does, having a dog in that, or looking after a dog, it gives you a purpose. You know that something is relying on you to help it, and that gives you a purpose, doesn't it? Obviously, if you wake up in the morning, you know you've got to be there for that dog. You're gonna get out of bed. You're gonna make yourself. You're gonna push yourself because you have to. You know, and that definitely helps with giving yourself a purpose to make sure you're always improving, and to make sure that you're always there, you're always active, and you're not staying in your own thoughts, because a dog can't fend for itself in you know in society today. You know, a dog can't go to the shop and get its own food. It can't go out and hunt for its own food, really, because they're not bred to do that anymore, and there's no place really for them to do that. And that's how it is at the moment, and that's how it will continue to be. So the idea that, you know, you have to, this dog is relying on you, can really help people in the, you know, in their own heads, that they have a purpose and they are needed in this world.
Definitely, I'd agree with all of that.
So in terms of, I mentioned goals, and obviously you said about the having a premises for those reasons, and also you mentioned about having charity status. I mean, the charity status, is that something you'd like to achieve within the year? Is there a longer period that you'd want to do that in, or?
I think we're gonna get it this year.
Yeah.
It's just the paperwork side of it, which is a bit scary. There's so much.
Everything changes when you have charity status. You have to have a mission statement, and you can't waver on that at all. So if we were to say we're High Hopes Dog Rescue, we rescue dogs, and somebody came to us in desperate need of help for cats, we wouldn't be able to help the cats. So we would have to make sure that every situation is in our mission statement, because otherwise we just, I think that's the right word for it, a mission statement.
Yeah.
But we have to make sure that that's exactly right and exactly what we want it to be.
Oh, okay, so I didn't realize that, and I think a lot of people listening wouldn't have realized that either. So a charity, to have its charity status, it needs this, as you said, mission statement, and it can't sort of deviate from that. If you've not got it in your statement, you can't help with that. I mean, that seems
No.
a little odd, does it not? Or
It does, but I guess it's a way of the governing bodies to be able to make sure you're doing exactly what you've said you're doing, that you don't set up a charity in one, I don't know, in one aspect, so say as in rescuing dogs, but then at the same time you decide that your charity is also going to give money to children's charities, or, you know, set up a side charity under the same name. It would, so I guess it's their way of controlling that and monitoring.
so I suppose we could say it's probably to do with clarity and making sure people know what they're helping, because obviously charities as a whole rely heavily on the general population, if not solely on the general population, and then obviously private investors as well. But I say investors, donators is the word. But the clarity is needed, I guess, then for people to decide whether they do or don't want to help out in that situation. And linking on really nicely from that, how can people help? How can people help you guys?
I'll let Tara answer that one.
Tara, I'll start using names now. Tara, how can people help with your guys and your mission?
We have a GoFundMe. We actually have two GoFundMes at the moment. So one is for our main goal, which is setting up the kennels. We've raised just over £1,000 in there at the moment. So a small amount for a massive target that we've got, but we're just so humbled by the people that donate to it. You know, we started up just the two of us as a little rescue, and we've just grown massively. Like you said, we've got lots of followers, but yes, we have the GoFundMe for our actual kennels that we want, and then we also have a GoFundMe to try and help pay the kennels bills currently, because they are quite a lot of money. So kennels bills, we're sort of averaging at about £4,000 a month at the moment, which is quite a lot of money, and we have to do all of that by fundraising, so hence the GoFundMe. We also have a fundraising group on Facebook, which we do a lot of online raffles and different bits and pieces in there. And we have people sponsoring kennels, and we have lots of very lovely people who just donate money to us. So they will often message and say, I've just donated to this, or I've just bought off your Amazon wish list. So that's different ways that people can help.
Wonderful. I mean,
And
Tara, Sam, what I'll do once we finish this recording, I'll get all the links off you if you're willing to share those, and I can put those in the description of the video, so we can try and spread that around. So if anyone did choose that they wanted to help out in that way, then they could.
amazing, thank you.
No, that's all right. Along with the sort of direct either donating or purchasing something off the wish list, is there any other ways people can help? I mean, is there a way people can help without, someone who perhaps doesn't have any spare cash around? Is there a way they can help volunteering or anything like that?
Yeah.
Sam?
I mean, a lot of it is just making us, just sharing our page, getting some of the dogs into homes. I mean, fosterers as well. We always need fosterers, but we need fosterers for the more difficult dogs who are stuck in kennels and hard to place into homes. So sort of sharing our page, finding fosterers. We've got quite a few dogs at the minute who aren't dog friendly or can't be homed with children or are really nervous. And, those kind of dogs deserve a chance as well. I think we've got 13 dogs in kennels, and a lot of those have been there for a couple of months at least. Yeah, so I mean, it's no life for them, especially not in the winter. It's cold. It is. They do get out most days. Tara goes up to the kennels quite a lot.
Oh yeah, Tara, you go up
feels-
most days, don't you? You go up to the kennels most days and sort of spend time with the dogs and with the people up there as well.
I do, and occasionally we have volunteers that come up as well, which is really helpful, because if it's just me going to the kennels, obviously the people that run the kennels, they feed the dogs, they take care of the dogs for us, so we don't have that side of it. But to go and socialise them and make sure that they're comfortable around humans, to teach them to walk on a lead, things like that, that's what I tend to go up and do. I spend a lot of my time sat on the floor with the nervous dogs or the ones who are trying to learn about humans. But it's lovely to go up in this weather. It's freezing, but volunteers there are always really helpful. We can always use volunteers. We just have set rules, and obviously it's more difficult with COVID. So, but yeah, volunteers at the kennels are quite hard to come by. Constant volunteers. So.
Yeah, well, like you said, with the pandemic, obviously, we can't ignore that. It's something that's affected everything and everyone, globally. So it's obvious that in some way the pandemic has affected you and the rescue and the dogs. Could you elaborate on that anymore? How has it affected you? Has it been a big part in the last sort of year for the rescue, or?
I think it's actually helped the rescue in a lot of ways, because people are at home, they want a dog, they want some sort of focus. And we have been very careful rehoming during the pandemic. And I think we've only actually had one lockdown puppy, haven't we, where it's been returned. So I think we've just been extra careful, but the rescue has grown a lot over the last 12 months. And we spent 2 years doing everything on our own, and we have got help now. I don't actually know how we did it before the help. No idea. But yeah, I think it has helped us. It's just made us, and especially now the prices of dogs have gone up. I find it quite scary rehoming puppies, because we have to be so careful. They can end up being sold on the internet or anything. And I think that that goes the same for most rescues. £325 isn't a lot of money for a dog, yet they could go and sell that dog for £3,000. And I find that quite scary.
And that's quite a big thing of what you do when you're deciding which dog will go to which house, and which people, and which people you're going to give the dogs out to. I say give the dogs out, you know what I mean, help adopt the dogs with. You have to, in some way or another, work out, do we think this person is going to be using the dog for anything they shouldn't be using it for? Are they going to be selling it or treating it in a bad way? Or are they going to do what they should be doing and treating it well and keeping it, and not having any ulterior motives for it? So that must be a really difficult thing to do, and even more so difficult to say to someone, unfortunately we don't think that we can let you adopt this dog. I mean, has that happened before? Or
Yeah, it's horrible. It's a horrible thing to have to do. We carefully look at the home checks, and we have to decide yes or no, or if anyone gets a weird feeling about it, then we have to say no. We've only had a couple of people come back and be quite mean about it, but most people understand, I think. Most people have been quite pleasant
could you
about it.
guess at a sort of percentage rate, if you like? Would you know anything like that, or how many people you say yes to compared to how many you say no? I'd imagine most people you'd say yes to. Is that about right? Or
I think
so.
we don't turn down lots and lots of people, but we try and match people to the dogs. So for instance, we've got some dogs that they need really high fences for, so we might sort of turn somebody away for that kind of dog, but offer them a different dog.
so sometimes it's a bit about patience, and having to wait until there's something that comes which you think will work, rather than trying to rehome the dog as quickly as possible, where perhaps a week or two later they've come back, and you could have perhaps stopped that by giving it to a different, adopting it out to a different person. So that
that's
sounds
all right.
Yeah, we don't always get it right though.
Well, you can't,
unfortunately.
that is
No,
bound
we
to
had
happen
one
with
dog
anything.
We had one dog go home for an hour, didn't we? Was it an hour?
Yeah, it
A couple of
was.
weeks ago. It was an hour, and then the dog came back. So we don't get it right every time.
I mean, but obviously it's not a nice thing to think that it hasn't worked, but it is bound to happen, and not because it's so you say you've been doing it for 2.5 years, and it's nothing to do with the fact that you've not been around as long as some of the larger rescues. It's simply because you don't know exactly how someone's going to react to a dog when they come face to face and have it in their home. You could see someone and see a dog and think they are perfect match for each other, and then when it comes to their house, it's a different story, and there's no way of going around that, because even the larger charities, like for example Dogs Trust, they'll have the same thing. They'll have the exact same thing. I think the reason it probably doesn't happen as much with you guys, in fact, because with it being a smaller one, you have more time to focus on each individual case, if you like, on each individual person and each dog. So as opposed to having a larger amount, you can spend more time focusing on each adoption, and then make sure it's the right one.
Yeah,
definitely. And because it's mine and Sam's decision, it's not like we're a big company where other people have got those decision making things to do, and there's no connection between maybe the home checker and the person that's reading the home check, and then the person that's speaking to the adopter. So Sam and I do all of that. We are involved in everything, and we know the dogs as well. So we take pride in trying our hardest to make sure they're all in the right home, and that it's their only home, their actual forever home. They've been through enough. They don't need to be passed around from different home to another home, to off the streets, so we just want them to go into a home and stay there, and everybody to be happy. And we offer support as well to the adopters. So we offer a lifetime backer, so the dog can be returned to us at any point. But we also have chats open with everybody that's adopted from us, apart from the very early days, because we just didn't have that as much. But those people would be friends with either Sam or I, so we would have added them on Facebook. So we might not have a specific chat, but for all of our, probably the last 18 months, they're all in chats in some shape or form. So we do keep in touch.
Yeah, well, that's really nice to hear that the person who's adopting the dog is always got a point of contact to speak to if anything goes, something that they're not sure of. It could be a simpler question as, I'm not sure, can I give the dog this treat? Or maybe something more complicated as in the dog's doing this, how do I stop it? So, and you guys are there throughout that whole journey, aren't you?
We try and remain as approachable as we can. I mean, there's 5 of us in every chat now, so there's always one of us that will be able to answer. I mean, we must have about 600 chats on the go at the moment on Facebook.
I would think so.
Wow.
So, and some days it might take a few days to sort of answer, but we do always answer. One of us will always answer.
Yeah. That's the main thing, that consistency, that you're able to give those answers. It really does help people who are trying to do the best for their dog, which is what this is all about. And we sort of focus a little bit about almost a doom and gloom section of the rescue, but in fact, what it is, the rescue is such a great thing. There's so many great things about it to talk about, and we don't want to get too bogged down in what's wrong, but because the majority of everything in the rescue is what's going right. It's you're managing to rehome these dogs, which is brilliant. And going on from that is, what would you two say? I will start with Sam. What would you say is the best part about running this rescue?
Oh God, you've put me on the spot now.
Or one of the best parts, maybe not the best,
running it. Running it. I mean, I've worked in rescue before, 2 other rescues, and I like to be able to run it the way that I want things done and the way that I think things should be done, and to be able to do that with somebody I've known, like I've known your mom, Tara, your mum, for 21 years. No, is that right? 22 years.
22 years, yeah.
So we kind of know how we're both going to react to things. So to be able to run a charity with your best friend is pretty cool, really.
Well, that's really nice. I couldn't have thought of much of a better answer than that, because the idea that you two are so close and have been for, as you said, 21 years. And I will just mention as a side note, yes, Tara in the pink jumper is my mum. Just we hadn't mentioned that, but yeah, Tara is my mum. So anyone watching, if you're wondering why I'm calling her Tara, it's simply for the reason to try and remain as professional as we could. But no, Tara is my mum, and that's what I'll call you mum from now on. So that's fine.
You don't have to.
So anyway, mummy. No, anyway, so like I said, that's a great answer. And Tara, what about yourself? What would you say is your favorite part about being involved in the rescue?
How do I even follow what Sam's just said? Pretty much the same. We get to speak to each other day in, day out. Sometimes we're laughing, sometimes we're crying, sometimes we're shouting, but for the most part, we just get on and you just get through things. And it's really nice having that solidarity and just making it work. And it's a massive difference to just having a friend, having a rescue partner, because it puts an added stress on that, but it's worth it, because I think we've both learned so much just from doing this and everything we've been through. We see dogs in a bad state and we're the only ones that kind of get, that's okay, we can move that dog on, but we can talk about it. And most people would look at a dog and just say, there's no hope for it, what can you do? Whereas we've got each other to talk to about it. So it's, yeah, that probably is the best part of it. And the fact that, as you can probably tell, I love talking, which is where you get your talking ability from. So meeting as many people as in the adopters, the rest of our team, it's just fantastic. It's just been really lovely to do.
Those are two perfect answers.
Sorry.
No, sorry, carry on.
We both think in the same way when it comes to the dogs for the majority of the time, so it kind of works.
And obviously, any times where you don't think the exact same, that's needed, because you need to have other people's point of views, or perhaps even opposing point of views, to decide what is best for the dog. And I was going to ask the question of what makes you two work so well together, but you've already answered that for me, so that's perfect. The idea that most of the time you do agree, but also there are times where you don't agree, and that's fine, and that's okay, and that helps. That makes things better, because you know that you're both doing it. You're putting aside any sort of personal issues with it. It's for the love of the dogs, isn't it? That's what it's all about. It's all about
I
doing
think
it for the
I
dog's sake.
think it's healthy to disagree. Paul.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
I would say
totally
so.
agree. Totally agree. I think without that sort of that, if you agree on everything, then you'd probably think maybe someone's just agreeing as to not upset the other person, and then you're not doing it solely thinking that's in the dog's best interest. But the fact that you do sometimes disagree, it shows that you are. It shows that you're both trying to do what's best for each individual dog, which is more
I
than
think it's
anyone
just
can ask for.
we've both got a passion for it. So, that's, I guess, where the disagreements come in. But it's not, it's not every day or anything.
Yeah, it's a health, it's a very healthy thing, and it's needed in any sort of working relationship. You need to be able to agree, and you also need to be able to disagree and move on from it and to come up with the best solution between you. So that's honestly really is a perfect answer. So thank you for that. In terms of other sort of positive things that have happened whilst running the rescue, I'm gonna ask you both a question individually. You might have the same answer. I want you to think of a time when you were either perhaps at the kennels or doing something with the rescue and something unbelievably funny has happened.
We were talking about this earlier.
Okay, so I think you got something in mind then. Who wants to tell a story?
We had this one dog called we were told she was a girl. So she had the name Blossom. Nice pretty name. She was like a shepherd cross. And Christina had been told she was a girl, so we just took it as read, because we've never had anything questionable with sexes. And the dog was adopted when she came over, and but it was two dogs and they looked the same, and I'd handed the one over, and then the other one had been handed over and was going home, and then I think Tara went over and just checked, and she's like, oh my god, it's a boy. And we went running back to check the other dog, which was also a boy. So poor old Blossom was actually, she was a boy, wasn't she?
She was a boy, yeah.
She was a boy.
And I think she was going to be called, was she going to be called Zara? But in fact,
Zara.
She's Zeus now. And is it Zeus instead?
But
yeah.
Oh my god, the adopters were so lovely about it, and we were mortified. Absolutely mortified.
I didn't know how far this story was going to go. I thought you were going to perhaps say something. You'd taken it to the vets for its neutering, and then and the vet had pointed out that it couldn't.
The adopter was holding Blossom in their arms, and I said, oh, it looks like she's got a bit of a hernia, and I kind of touched her tummy and then thought, oh no, that's not a hernia. It was a boy dog.
Brilliant. That's I wasn't expecting that at all. I've not heard that, so that's amazing. My gosh. Okay. Moving on. I was going to ask what's the weirdest thing, but I'd imagine that's probably joint with that.
I would say so.
I think what we need to ask is, and it's I've kind of asking this because it allows for this brilliant pun, if you will. So what are your guys' pet peeves?
People that don't tell the truth.
Yeah,
that is my pet peeve, and that's all aimed through the rescue. So if you have a problem with the dog, tell us what the actual problem is, because we can work with that. If if you're saying that your garden fences are however tall, but actually on the video call they're not that tall, we're going to know these things, but it wastes so much of our resources and time that just telling the truth, that is probably my pet peeve. Is
I think I would agree with that as well.
Yeah.
We've had people hide actual people in home checks, not tell us about an extra person living in the home. And yeah, I guess it is just, what's the point? What's the point in lying? You know, at the end of the day, that dog had to come back. And it might not have done, because we probably wouldn't have rehomed it to that home.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you say, it's wasting your time, and you've got things that have got to be done for the welfare of these dogs, you know. And if people are there making things up or not telling you the whole truth, then it really is. It's not good for the dogs, for you guys working, because neither of you get paid for this. This is your all volunteer work. Obviously, it's a charity. Although you're the sort of the owners and the runners, if you like, there's no monetary gain for yourselves. It's everything you gain is put straight back into the charity. So it's people wasting the time of the charity, wasting your guys' individual time, because not just do you put in your own sort of funds to it, you put in your own time, which is just as important, you know. And that's it's inexcusable, you could say. It's not good, but that's how it goes sometimes. And I think as the rescue grows, you'll be able to deal with those things more easily, because you have a procedure in place, and I'm sure you've already got something like that anyway. And that's just how things go, unfortunately, isn't it?
We change and adapt, and we learn from how to ask people different questions, rather than a very a question that can be avoided. We ask more direct questions now. So I guess it's that case of, you've been caught out once too many times and it won't happen again. So, you know, from our side of things,
we do learn from our mistakes, definitely.
And that's so important when running anything, when running any organization. Learning from what goes wrong is probably one of the single most important things you can do, because you're bound to make mistakes. Everyone knows that. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone's human, you know. So the idea that as long as you can learn from those and improve on it, you're winning. In my opinion, you're winning.
Absolutely. We try.
I know. We can all tell.
Winning the lottery.
What was that? Sorry.
We'd like to be winning the lottery.
Wow, yeah, wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all? Guys, thank you so much for talking to me today. It really has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Sam and Mum. Thank you very much for that. It's really, really appreciate it. Anyone listening, as I said, I'm going to put in the description on this video the links to help out Tara and Sam at High Hopes Dog Rescue. Anything you can contribute, or any sharing you can do to give more awareness for the group is really appreciated from myself and from the rescue as well. So I'll put those links in the description, and please feel free to share this video around as much as you can to raise awareness for this, because that's what this is all about. Tara, Sam, again, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you wanted to say before we end this? Anything you'd like to say to the listeners?
Go on, I'll let you speak, Sam.
Yes, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported us over the last 2 years. We've got a massive following, and sometimes it's quite scary. But yeah, just thank you to everyone who supported us, and thank you, Mason, for a fab interview.
No, that's no worries at all. Thank you for coming on. I know we nearly made it to the end without any interruptions. We could have had dogs barking, anything, but just at the end the phone rings. That's okay. And that's the that's what the
phone, by the way.
No, I know. Yeah, but you know, that's how it goes in these COVID times. Obviously, we can't all be in the same room together. So doing it like this at home is the best way at the moment. So guys, thank you so much for coming on. Anyone listening at home, thank you for listening. This has been Mason from MasonSpeaks, joined by Tara and Sam from High Hopes Dog Rescue. You've been listening to MasonSpeaks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.